No,
Good.
you're back.
Yeah,
Good.
coming and going, honey, but I wanted to just kind of get into, so you've been in that building 20 years. That's actually, next year will be 20 years for our real estate business. So, wow, that's a long time. So who are you, Andrew? Like, where's your family? What do who are you?
Well, I'm a local to here, Georgia. My wife, myself, and my 2 daughters were all born at Northside Hospital, so we haven't gone very far. Grew up here in Atlanta, of course. I moved down to Pensacola for about 3 years for an apprenticeship to learn how to cook, and that was when I was 17 years old. So I returned to Atlanta and got a job with the Ritz-Carlton company. So I was with them for about 5 years or so. Again, just learning more how to cook and kind of just establishing myself. Then I went off and cooked for a few private restaurants, single owner operations as executive chef. Then I met up with Chris Archer and Eric Ripka, who owned Talk the Town at the time. They hired me as their chef and worked for them for maybe about 5 or 6 years before Chris offered me the company. So I, of course, jumped at the opportunity. Well, it speaks volumes to what we actually do here. We use quality ingredients. We use basic techniques. We don't try to manipulate the food too much, and it's just been a great home for me here. The family, we moved to Roswell probably in 2003, and moved to our new house up the street about 3 years ago with our new daughter. So she's 2 years old now. We realized that we're gonna need a bigger house. The first house was a great starter house. It was over in the Terramont neighborhood. And then we moved over to Saddle Creek about 3 years ago.
Wow, that's a perfect neighborhood for a growing family. Very good. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, but we love the community, the pool. My daughter's in the swim team every year. Maybe not this year because of what's going on, of course. But she's very active. But we know all the neighbors, all the neighborhood kids are great. Mm-hmm.
Cool. So she's keeping you busy. What are some of the goals that you've got, like, or I should say, how have you kind of pivoted with all of this? This is really kind of what we're interested in learning from you in this COVID era that we're in.
Well, it was quite a shock to the system. It kind of blindsided a lot of businesses. We kind of saw it on the horizon, but didn't know how it would impact us until it was here on our doorstep. Immediately, our business depends on large groups of people getting together to enjoy food, parties, weddings, social events, corporate events, and all that was gone in a day. Everything canceled or postponed. Luckily, we had about 75 to 80% actually postpone their events, so we didn't really lose the events. We're just going to be doing them later on in the fall or whenever whenever we can, whenever everyone feels comfortable enough to get back together. So in the meantime, we got to figure out what are we going to do. We had zero revenue coming in through the door, and we still have all of our bills, obviously. Now, we lease a few venue properties as well. We have a warehouse here in Roswell, as well as this property. So we have quite a liability, basically.
Yeah.
So what we had to do was figure out, what do people need? They're not going anywhere. They still need to eat. They don't want to, there's no restaurants to go to. So we started doing the home delivery system. So I came up with a very basic menu, said, okay, each portion serves 4 people, a very reasonable price, and free delivery within 15 miles of our location. We don't trust third-party delivery systems. We like to do it all in-house ourselves, especially because of the safety of it all. So it's our vehicles, our employees, and we pretty much shut ourselves out in a tiny little bubble. So nobody in, nobody out type of scenario. All of our employees, they drive from work to home and home to work. That was it. Obviously, we're practicing all the CDC guidelines, face masks, gloves, washing. We have sanitizer all over the place in here. There's no shortage here. Anytime we have an opportunity for a fair, we can just go ahead and get a whole other case of it. And the home delivery system is working pretty well, especially on the holidays. Traditionally, holidays aren't very busy for caterers. You would think, let's see, we did Cinco de Mayo today. Before it was, let's see, what was the holiday we just had?
Right, just had Easter, right?
Exactly. Easter was a huge hit for us. Our Mother's Day menu is now up online as well. And traditionally, these aren't ones that people have a catered event at. They go to a restaurant or make a nice family meal for themselves. So that's pretty good for us. We've also had a lot of our corporate sponsors, our corporate clients sponsor their employees. So what they do is they would call in and give a certain amount of credit per employee, and the employee would just call us up and say, hey, we're ready for this order or this meal, whatever it might be, and we deliver it to their home. We had another corporate client who sponsored a bunch of hospitals. I think it was last week. We did about 500 meals for the first responders and the frontline workers. We're also part of the Roswell first responder meal train as well, and that worked out pretty well. So we provide a lot of food for the firefighters and for the policemen over the last 2 months. And the meal program for the schools really just touched our heart, because my 6-year-old, she goes to Crabapple Elementary School, and again, there's a lot of food insecurity even up in North Fulton area, and it's nice to be able to help these kids out.
Yeah.
They depend on those school lunches, and with everyone being stuck at home, it's an additional burden to them. So
Right.
we're glad that Mike put this program together.
So for those who don't know, the school meal program was started by Mike Thomas, and he came up with the idea of how do you help restaurants and caterers, right, and provide for the kids who need meals, right, that are out of school. So the idea is people can purchase gift cards, right, through you or the other participating restaurants, and then those gift cards, you guys prepare the food, and that's the food that's delivered. Is that kind of the gist of it?
Correct. We have on our online ordering system, we have different buttons that they can order through however much they want to donate. If it's $10, all the way up to, I think we put a $2,000 button on there just in case,
Right.
And it's working out very well for us. We're actually producing 80 sandwiches right now to hand out to the kids today. And we have a nice little box for them. They all get a little tub of individual cereal, a milk, a half a sandwich wrap, and a muffin, all in one box. So the volunteers pick it up from here. We load it in the car, and they bring it to the drop-off point to distribute it.
That's great.
Wow.
So I want to ask you, with doing the home meal delivery and how you guys have had to shift your business, do you see that any of these changes you've put in place would be something that you'll continue to do now that, once we get past all this? Do you think that that's now a new part of your business?
I think it is, and I think it has to be. It's going to be a long time before we can get back to the way we were with large groups of people getting together again. We have a few small weddings at our facilities that are, again, we're abiding by the 10 people per 500 square foot area. And one of our venues actually has a nice patio, a outside courtyard, as well as 2 separate rooms inside the building. So we actually fit 10 people in each of those locations. Keep the distance, again, sanitizer. We have a whole bunch of face masks coming for all of our employees as well for whenever we are ready to serve. But we're going to need to continue the meal programs, the at-home deliveries, until we're able to get back on our feet. I think we're probably down about 90% in business. And obviously I had to temporarily lay off about 90% of my crew. We had about 47 full-time employees. So now we're down to bare bones, pretty much just the department heads, the chef, and my accountant and HR. And that's about it. So yeah, we're going to need to do everything we can to continue.
Yeah. So did you guys have the online ordering technology already in place, or was that something you had to pull together here pretty quickly?
We had to pull together really quickly. Luckily, we have a great marketing team. He's actually been a friend of mine for probably 25 years now, and that's what he does for a living. So of course, it was just a natural fit years ago. I brought him on as our marketing company, and he redesigned our website for us. He does all of our online advertising, all of our print ads for the different magazines that we put in there. And they were able to put this Shopify app together, I think, in maybe 3 days, and have it live.
That's great.
Wow. That is awesome. Yeah, one thing we learned with Mike Thomas is one of the benefits of this school meal program is typically only 80% of the kids are really helped in a typical Title I school system, with free lunch, because of just there's a cutoff with some applications. And there's no red tape, there's no application, and so actually anyone that can come, that needs to come, is served. And that's kind of been the silver lining here with all of this. And he doesn't know if it would even maybe not continue through some of the spring breaks and summer times. May be something that they want to continue to do, or supplement throughout the year for people maybe that didn't make that cutoff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, what I love about it is it's all direct. It's from the residents in the area going directly to the restaurants going directly to the kids. So it's a win for everybody. And like you said, there's no red tape involved. Obviously, all the restaurants and facilities have their business license, their health inspections, their HACCP certification, their ServSafe certifications, and it's great not having to go through the red tape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome.
So Andrew, if people want to help you, or just get in touch with you to get some meals at home or participate in the school meal program, how do they do that? What's the best way for them to go about doing that?
Just hit us up on our website. We have all the information there. It's a very user-friendly website. talkofthetown.atlanta.com. They can even call the office directly. We still have people here manning the phones. Granted, it might be the chef that answers, or the dishwasher that answers, or myself. But, excuse me. But yeah, we're answering the phones here. Website is always the easiest because everything is right there in front of you. It's very easy to navigate. There's a big banner that says order home. Click on that, and that has our entire menu, as well as a few grocery store items and all the buttons for the donations.
So if what's the turnaround time if I want, if I look up and it's this afternoon and I'm like, oh shoot, what are we going to do for dinner? Is it too late? I mean, is it how soon do we have to?
Great question.
Mm-hmm. It is. We have to have the orders a day in advance because we make everything fresh. We're not a restaurant that can keep all our menu items on hand all the time, and we don't like to pre-make a lot of things. We can't make 4 pans of lasagna and then just wait to see who orders for it. So we make everything fresh based on the orders. So we have up until midnight the day before, and then the next day it'll be delivered to your home between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock. And a lot of times we get finished earlier in the day, so we reach out to the clients and say, hey, we're done at 2 o'clock. Is it okay if we go ahead and drop off your food now? I'd say 90% of them say, sure, absolutely. They're at home anyways. They're not going anywhere. So yeah, if they order by midnight the day before, they'll have it for dinner the next night.
Cool. What would you say, Andrew, are maybe the top 3 things you've done to really just, or what advice would you give another small business owner that you feel like really helped you at this time? What are some tips or big things you changed that you would pass on?
Well, it wouldn't be as much of a change as much of a reinforcement for community involvement. Know your neighbors, know the market, know what they want, and find the best way to get that, to make it available to them. If it's through online ordering, if it's through curbside pickup, whatever it might be. Social media obviously is a huge tool, but definitely know your neighbors, know your community. Everything you do comes back to you threefold. So definitely donate when you can, help out when you can, and just really keep your boots on the ground. Another thing would be prepared for life to change at a drop of a hat, because nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. So you always have to kind of reinvent yourself every single day. I come into work and I kind of scratch my head and I second guess the answers or the solutions I had yesterday. Are they going to work today, or do I have to come up with a whole new plan? I actually just came up today. We're going to be doing a pop-up meat market in my neighborhood. So I'm putting together a order sheet. You heard in the news recently that everyone is going to have a shortage of protein. Well, I have a steady supply. I have a great partnership with a local grass-fed beef company here, as well as pasture-raised pigs. So they have no problem in their supply chain. It's very single origin. They have one processing plant that they use that's local. So again, it's keeping the neighbors employed as well. And it is a little bit more expensive than the commodity, mainline, delivery companies, but it's so much worth it. I mean, between just the health of it, being single origin, locally helping out your neighbors, and just knowing that it's a really good product, and to have it delivered to your neighborhood, that's just an added plus.
Oh man, bacon delivered to my doorstep. Now you're talking.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's great. Yeah, I think it's so important when you have a small business, any kind of small business, that you have to remain fluid, and what your job looked like 2 weeks ago might not be the same 2 weeks from now, right? So
how did that idea for the pop-up meat market come about? Did you get input from your clients, or you just knew as a business owner that this was going to be a need?
Yeah, well, I listen to the news every day, see what's out there, and find out what the needs of the people are, what they want. And I think it's been the last 3 or 4 days, it's been all over the news about the processing plant shutting down, and then of course I think there's an executive order that they have to reopen, but there's still complaints. I think they're picketing and protesting the work conditions. It's just not a very pretty sight right now, and so we still need to have our steaks and our bacon, right? So this is just a natural way to get it to the guests, to the customers.
Cool.
I even heard there's a fast food restaurant that said they don't have any beef available. They're only selling chicken.
wow.
Oh my goodness. My daughter, she loves her red meat. We better stock it up. Okay, so let me ask you, what's been your proudest experience with the meal program? Like just one incident, or what's been just a proud memory you've had of helping out with this?
Honestly, it's just the thank you messages we get after we do a delivery. Some people go on there and just say, how much it means to them and how they appreciate it. And for us, we take it for granted because it's just a sandwich and, some cereal or, a piece of fruit or granola. It's not too much to us, but to really realize how much it means to other people, I think that's really where my chest kind of swells up and I get a little teary-eyed.
That is so wonderful. Are you involving your family in this with you? Like your daughter might be on the front doorstep with the meat market from your front door, but have you involved your family in any of this?
No, they're pretty much staying at home. That they've been in quarantine, following all the rules, regulations. I think my wife went ahead and gave everyone their graduation certificates early. They're all graduated, so no more homeschool for them. It's definitely a challenge to get these kids to do their homework when you're not a teacher, and they've been working in the yard a lot. We're putting in a beautiful vegetable garden in our backyard, so that they have projects and art projects, and of course, it's neat for them to get together they're doing a lot of baking together. And so Alice, my wife, is explaining to them, oh, this is the math of it. We have to measure this. I think she made pancakes for the very first time the other day, and involved the kids in it. So it's been fun. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, but no, they're not going to be involved in the business side of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's great. Well, cool. Well, anything else you want to add before we wrap up, Andrew?
I do. I want to give a big shout out to you and your team for matching all these donations. That was a huge home run for the kids, for sure. Like I said, the 80 meals going out today, I think what you matched pretty much paid for all those meals just for today.
That's great.
So I definitely appreciate what you guys are doing for this.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks for your time, and thanks for all you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. It's awesome.
Right.
Good to talk to you and see you.
Definitely. And we've been neighbors this whole time.
I know. We're right around the corner now. We know. That's great.
Yeah. Excellent. Well,